Okay, so we're going to start the hair right now, and I am going to work a little bit faster just because we have already learned most of the techniques that we're doing here. I'll slow down whenever it's something new. Alright, so we're going to start with a magic ring and just make 6 single crochet stitches inside your magic ring. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6. There we go. Now after that, we're just going to pull this yarn tail, make sure there's no gaps, and come into the very first stitch space. And this time you can really work with a slip stitch and chain 1. This will all be covered anyway, so it is more than fine to have a slip stitch and chain 1. In the second row or round, we are going to be making those increases again in every single stitch space. So you'll have 12 stitches at the end of this round. Round 2 is now complete. Chain 1. Now for round 3, what you want to do is work in just the back loops only. So coming into our very first back loop, I'm struggling here for the first back loop. Maybe I did the slip stitch a little bit too tight, but that's okay. We're going to get in it. Oh my gosh. Alright, so here we go. We're in the back loops now, and we're just doing the following. Single crochet stitch, back loop again for this entire round, round number 3, and an increase. And that's it. Just repeat that pattern all the way around. So back loop, single crochet, and back loop, increase. 1 and 2. So I'll let you guys finish this round number 3, slip stitch and chain 1 to finish that round. Once you have now finished round number 3, this is what we are going to start doing. We're going to start making these hair strands. Now this is probably a new thing that you guys have, I don't know if you've done it before, but let's do it together here. We're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we've made 5 chains right here. Now we're going to work in this second loop from the hook. So here's the first, here's the second, okay? And you're just going to make a slip stitch just like that. So what you have here is 3 loops left, okay, after that first slip stitch. And in each of these 3 loops that are left, you're going to be making another 3 slip stitches. So that's the first one that I just did. Here's the second. And here is the final slip stitch. So you'll have 4 slip stitches in total. Okay, you've chained 5 and you made 4 slip stitches in total. Now you're going to not come here because that's where our slip stitch was, and technically that's where the first hair strand should be. So come in this next stitch space and make a slip stitch here. So we have now completed our first hair strand, as you can see right here. Now let's do it again. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And remember, second loop from the hook is where you begin. Make a slip stitch. And then you have 3 loops left, and you'll be making all of those slip stitches as well. 1, here's number 2, and the final one right here. Then come into the next stitch space of your round number 3, front and back loops, and make another slip stitch. You are going to repeat this another 3 times. So you'll have 5 hair strands after another 3 times of chaining 5 and 4 slip stitches down the line. Okay, so we've just finished those 5 hair strands now. I've made a slip stitch in the next single crochet stitch space of round number 3. And this time, for the next 2 hair strands, we are going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we're going to do something a little different. So we still start in the second loop from the hook with a slip stitch. And that's what we will be doing for all of these hair strands. Second loop from the hook with a slip stitch. And now we have 4 loops left over. And in these 4 loops, we're going to make single crochet stitches. So no longer slip stitches. We're making the single crochet stitches. So here we go. That's number 3 single crochet stitch. And this is the 4th single crochet stitch. Come into the next stitch space of round number 3, make that slip stitch, and you're just going to repeat that right there. So I'll let you guys repeat it, and then we'll come back for the next hair strand. Okay, so we have just finished those 2 hair strands right there. So that's the chain 6. This time you're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slip stitch in second loop from hook, and now we will have 5 single crochet stitches down the length of this hair strand. So that's number 2, number 3, number 4, and finally number 5. Okay, let's make a slip stitch in the next stitch space of round number 3, and this time we're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And here again, slip stitch in the second loop from the hook and make single crochet stitches everywhere down the length of this hair strand. So this should now be 6, I believe, in total. So that's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Then we come into the next stitch space of round number 3, slip stitch, and chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now for this one, we're going to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So what we do, same thing, slip stitch first, and then you will have another 7 single crochet stitches down the length of this hair strand. So this is number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and finally number 7. Okay, so make a slip stitch in the next stitch space of round number 3. And this was the longest hair strand that we're going to complete. And you're going to repeat this, and I'll tell you how many times down the bottom here. So another 4 times that you're chaining 9, slip stitch, 7 single crochet stitches down the line. So repeat another 4 times here so that you have a total of 5. I'll let you guys do that on your own. Pause the video and come back once you finish that. And then we'll start the remaining hair strands together. Alright, so we just finished that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those 5 hair strands, chaining 9. You slip stitch in the next stitch space, and now we're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I am going a little bit faster here, guys, just so you know. Slip stitch and 7 single crochet stitches. 6 single crochet stitches down the length of this hair strand. So that's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so now what we want to do is come into the next stitch space and this time chain 7. So you can see how we're kind of doing the opposite of what we did on this side. You did those, and those 5 chains here in the middle is kind of like the middle of the hair. So chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slip stitch first in the second loop from the hook, followed by 5 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then in these last 2 stitch spaces of round 3, you're going to just be chaining 6, slip stitch, and 4 single crochet stitches down the length of the hair shaft. So I'm going to let you complete these 2 hair strands, and at this final hair strand I will record again and show you how to start the second round. And there we go. So we've just finished this last hair strand, and we're coming into the very first stitch space where we began, and just making a slip stitch into that space. So slip stitch right there. Now bring the yarn forward, and when I say forward, just not behind the hair strand, bring it around where it should be, and chain 1. And the reason why I want you to chain 1 is because we're going to now make a slip stitch on the next front loop of this round here. So I believe that is round number 2. So what we will do is, you've made that chain, you're not turning this way, you're turning this way, and just find coming directly, almost directly above to one of those front loops, and just make a slip stitch in that. Okay, done. So now what we want to do is chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we are actually, for all of this round, this is the second round of hair strands, or second strand. So this is second strand number 1. We are going to be working slip stitches, so never single crochet stitches this time. So we've just chained 6, and we're making technically 5 slip stitches in total. So this is the third slip stitch, this will be the 4th, and then this will be the 5th. Okay, so now what I want you to do is for the next 2 hair strands, go in the next front loop, slip stitch, and for the next 2 hair strands, you'll be chaining 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to let you complete the next 2 hair strands of chaining 6 and 5 slip stitches down the line. So we've just made 3 hair strands here, second hair strands of chaining 6. Now I'm going to come into the next front loop, slip stitch, and this time we are chaining 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you'll make 6 total slip stitches starting in the second loop from the hook. So remember, 6 slip stitches starting in the second loop from the hook. So we've just made 3 slip stitches right there. This is our 4th. Here's our 5th. And finally, number 6. Slip stitch in the next front loop of that round. And this time we chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And working down this one, we will now have 7 slip stitches. So there's 1. Feel free to pause this video as well, and then come back when we're ready for the next hair strand, or you can do this alongside with me. Here's number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7 slip stitch. Done. Okay, in this next front loop, this time we are chaining, so slip stitch first, and now we're chaining 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in the same way, we're getting familiar with this pattern now. You're just making those slip stitches all the way down. So this time you will have 8 slip stitches in total. So this is number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, and finally coming right up is number 8. There we go. In the next 3 second hair strands, we are going to this time chain 10 and have 9 slip stitches down the hair strand. So I'll let you guys do that. So for the next 3, chain 10, 9 slip stitches, and then we'll come back together. Okay, so we've just finished those 3 hair strands of chaining 10 and making 9 slip stitches. We have 3 left to go. So I've just made a slip stitch in the next front loop. This time I'm chaining 9, then in the next one I'm chaining 8, and in the next one I'm chaining 7. So here 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So technically we can kind of pause the video. We kind of know what we're doing. We've done it before. We're just going 9, 8, 7. And on the 7th one, we'll come back together and I'll show you where to make that slip stitch. And this here is the 7th, oh sorry, not the 7th, the final hair strand, but chaining of 7, 6 slip stitches down the length of that chain. And then, can you see this first hair strand in that second round? You're just going to come underneath there and make your slip stitch right in that space, just like that. Then you're going to pull the yarn through and give yourselves about 40 centimeters, maybe even a little bit more. You can probably cut about 50 centimeters worth. There we go. And then you'll have yourselves 50 centimeters worth of yarn tail ready to sew the hair in place when the time comes. But before we sew this hair in place, let us make the hat. Alright everyone, let us begin with this hat. This is the final thing we need to crochet before we finish all the crocheting parts, and then we just have a little bit of sewing to go. So let us start off with, again, our magic ring and making 6 single crochet stitches inside the magic ring using the same techniques that I showed you at the very beginning. So once you've made these 6, so here's number 3, 4, 5, and number 6, we are going to pull this yarn tail here, close that magic ring, and then come into the very first stitch space and make a slip stitch. And in fact, I'm going to show you something that you can do with this yarn tail in just a moment. So make a slip stitch and chain 1. We are now already up to the second round. Let us continue. So we're going to make increases again, but this time grab this yarn tail and put it over the hook, and we're just going to weave it in for the first couple of increases, and that will secure it in place. So here's the first increase. Then we have the second, and just make sure this yarn tail is over the top. And here's the second. And you know what? After 2, you could probably go 1 more if you wanted to. Here's the third. Oops, just don't get that tangled there. Yarn tail on top of the hook. Let's make this third increase with the yarn tail woven in. And now we can just leave that yarn tail to the side. Here's the 4th increase. Here's the 5th. 1 and 2. And then we have the 6th. 1 and 2. Slip stitch and chain 1 as normal. For the third round, we are going to continue on with a single crochet stitch followed by an increase, and just repeat that pattern all the way around until you have 18 single crochet stitches in the round. Complete that, and then we'll get on to round number 4. Okay, so we're up to round number 4 now, and for round number 4, you're going to do the following: single crochet stitch, another single crochet stitch, and then an increase, 1 and 2. And you want to repeat that all the way around, so 2 single crochet stitches and an increase. Repeat another 5 times. You'll have 6 in total, 24 stitches at the end of this round. Slip stitch and chain 1 to finish. For the 5th round now, we're going to do the following, and you'll see that we're kind of just repeating a pattern here. This time we are making 3 single crochet stitches followed by an increase, and at the end of this round, this is the 5th round, we will have 30 stitches in total. So 1, 2, just in case you didn't see, number 3, and then after the 3rd, you'll make an increase, 1, same space, and 2. Repeat that all the way around. You will have 30 stitches in the round after this round. And round number 6, now that we've finished round number 5, for round number 6, again, we have this time 4 single crochet stitches. Here's number 4 coming up, followed by an increase, 1 and 2. And after this round, you will have 36 stitches in total. So remember, 4 single crochet stitches first, followed by an increase. Repeat that pattern all the way around. For rounds number 7 and 8, we're no longer making any more increases, but what we will do is just make single crochet stitches all the way around. So that will be a total of 36 single crochet stitches for rounds numbers 7 and 8. So I'll let you guys finish that and come back at the end of round 8, and then we'll start round 9 together. We are now up to round number 9. Chain 1 at the end of round number 8 after you've made that slip stitch. And this time what we're going to do is make 2 single crochet stitches, 1 and 2, followed by an invisible decrease. So we're making this a little bit coming, like we're making it come in, if you will. So again, 2 single crochet stitches first, followed by an invisible decrease, and we're just going to work that the entire way around. 1, 2, followed by invisible decrease. So you can see how it's starting to come inwards, which is exactly what we want for the hat. Once you finish this entire round with those 2 single crochet stitches and a decrease, then we will slip stitch, chain 1, and finish it off together for round number 10. For this last and final round, we are going to be doing the following. First of all, we're working in the front loops, okay? So these are the front loops of the previous round that we're working in. We're going to start off with a half double crochet stitch. So let us make this half double crochet stitch in that front loop. Then we're going to make in the next front loop a double crochet stitch. So work through 2 and then pull through 2 again. Now we will make a treble crochet. So you wrap around the hook twice, come inside the front loop, and pull through 2 again, and pull through 2. So there we go. We've just made a half double crochet, a double crochet, and a treble crochet stitch. Now I want you to make another 2 treble crochet stitches in the next 2 front loops. So this is the second, technically. That's our second treble crochet stitch. And here is our third. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Now in this next stitch space, we're going to be making a treble crochet increase, and that just means 2 treble crochet stitches in the front loop. So let's do that together. So here's our first, here's the second, and here's our first, and now we are wrapping twice, coming in the same front loop and making the increase, or the second treble crochet stitch, just like that. You can see we're starting to build this section of the hat, which is kind of like that brim section of the hat. From here, we've just made our increase, and in fact, if you wanted to, you could make 1 more inside that same front loop, just to allow it to turn a little bit. So there we go. We actually made 3 inside that 1 front loop. Now we will make another 3 treble crochet stitches in the next 3 front loops. So here's 1. Wrap twice. Here's the second treble crochet stitch. And wrap twice for the third treble crochet stitch. Remember, you're only working in those front loops. There you go. And now we have a double crochet stitch in the very next space. Then a half double crochet stitch, pull through all, and then in the very next front loop, we'll just make a slip stitch. So after you made that slip stitch, organize it so that this is kind of flat. This will curve in, and this is exactly what you want. So you've made that slip stitch, right? You're going to pull this yarn tail. You're going to cut yourself a good maybe 30 centimeters worth of a yarn tail, and then pull this out. Okay, so we've made that as flat as possible. Unfortunately, this yellow yarn is a little bit thinner compared to this one that I was using before, and that's why it's kind of worked out to be a little bit smaller, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll still work out the same. All right, so we have done that. We can also cut this middle section because remember we wove this in before, so that is nice and secure in place right there. And from here, all we want to do now is start sewing on the hair, and then we will sew on the hat on top. Okay, so let's leave our hat to the side. Put it over here for now. We'll use this later, and then we can sew on the hair. Okay, so what I would recommend for you guys to do, and I didn't say to have pins in the intro, but it is a good idea. If you do have pins, please do use them because it's easier. That's all I can say. So those 5 hair strands, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, do you remember those 5 hair strands that we made at the beginning? You want to position them so that they are front center of your Baby Saja. Then you want to pin the rest of the hair strands all the way around. I've just run out of pins here, but I'll pin those later. And start sewing. So here's my hair yarn tail, and I'm going to, since it finished off here, I'm just going to go underneath here, and then I'm going to start looking at where the pin is as like a sort of target mark, and then the sewing needle is going to go through where that pin was. Just make sure you don't catch any other hair strands because you don't want to tangle this up. So pull that, and then here what I'm going to do, wherever that pin was, I'm kind of going to work on the side of that hair strand, just the side. Not for all of them, but for these ones, yes. And then come on the other side, around about there. Push your needle through and then come back into that same stitch space over here. Then pull out the next needle and have this, next pin, and have the yarn needle come through where that pin was. And then here we can just sew it in place just like that. And for this one, I'm going to go on the sides again. So around about here, hope you can see that. Going in the side, pulling up, pulling out, and then coming on the other side and coming in here, the same stitch space. Then we're going to pull the next one, and I'll show you what we do at this point as well. So for this one, we're going to come further towards the tip of that hair strand and still come through the side. So let us find the side piece. There's one. Pull through, take out the pin, and this time come at the tip, opposite side, and come in that same space. And then we're going to work our needle in the next stitch space, and we're just going to do that the entire way around. You should have a long enough yarn tail to complete all of this round of hair strands plus the next, but if you do not, that is okay, because we can always get more yarn. So I'm going to come here, and we're just going to complete this all the way around, guys. So I'll let you guys do this. You probably see me do this enough. At least you have something that helps you know how to do this, if that makes sense. So there we go. I'm just going to keep going around into each new section. All right, I'll see you at the end of this. And here's our last and final hair strand that I've just gone into. Unfortunately, I have run out of yarn tail, so I can't do that second layer, but that is more than okay. I'm going to grab another piece of maybe like 30 centimeters worth of a yarn tail, and then I'll start again. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this one as is. And now from here, so we've done the first round of hair strands, which is beautiful. And now we are going to pin with your leftover pins all of these hair strands down to make the second layer of hair strands. So guys, do that, and then we'll see what it looks like in the end. As in, pin it first, and then we'll see what that looks like first. So this is what we're looking like once you've pinned the second layer of hair strands around the head, as you can see here. Now, if your yarn tail was long enough, like 30 centimeters worth, then you would just start sewing from here. But if it's not, just like me, all I would do is cut myself about a 30 to 40 centimeter piece of cotton yarn in the color that we want. Thread it through the eye of the needle, as always, my favorite part. And then I'm just going to insert my needle anywhere, probably in this same spot, so I can tie these two pieces together. And then I'm going to come out at the top. I can take this piece out, that pin out, I mean. Leave a bit of a yarn tail here. And then I'm just going to come behind here, and then I'm going to start sewing. So I'm going to pick out each of these pins one at a time. And in the same way as I did before, this time I'm not going to sew directly at the tip. I'm going to leave a bit of a space so it kind of floats up, if you will. So like these end parts kind of just go up. So that's what we're going to do. And I'll come here, come on the side, come in the same stitch space, come out the next one. We're just going to keep repeating that, guys. And then you will have sewn the entire second layer of hair strands, which will be fantastic. So I'll let you guys do this now. You've seen the technique. Technique is always the same. We're not changing it. Just do your best. And I mean, another thing that you can do, although I wouldn't recommend it, but if you really do not like sewing, feel free to glue it with like a hot glue gun or something. I wouldn't recommend, because in the heat, sometimes it can come apart, which I don't think we'd want. But if you really do not want to sew, then that is another option for you. But sewing is not that hard. It's just a little bit of practice and you get used to it, and then in the end it's all secure. You don't have to worry about it again. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys do that all the way around, and then we'll finish it at the end together. We are on our last hair strand right here, so I'm just pulling through, coming around the other side, going into that same stitch space, and then I will even since these two are already together, what I might, sorry, let's put you back. I might actually come at the top here. Hold on, let's see if we can find a space to get through. I'm going to come at the top here, and then I'm just going to weave a few stitches, just so I can secure that in place. So like 1 and maybe just 2, maybe 3. 3 total will be more than fine to secure that all in place. So that's 2. Here's the last one. I'll come out at the top or somewhere close by, pull the yarn, and then using my cutter, cut off that excess. Boom, that's done. And then with these 2 yarn tails, I'll tie these in a double knot. And there we go, use my pair of cutters again. Cut that. And then with my needle, I'm just going to push this inside. Hide it inside the head so that it is no longer visible, which is exactly what we want. Now we have completed the hair of Baby Saja. As you can see here, we are looking great. And finally, we have the hat. So let us put on the hat and sew it on. So I've used pins again, and it just really helps with the placement of the hat. So as you can see, we've got the brim section down here, and we've aligned it, and I've kind of pulled it over a little bit and then pinned it in place so that it's nice and even here, or at least as even as I could possibly muster it up to be. And now we're going to use this yarn tail and start sewing along the border section, and we just have to be careful so that it's not super visible either. So let us do this quite slowly. So let us weave this through first of all, just like that. And what we're going to do here, since it starts off right here, I'm going to have the yarn needle come in that same stitch space, and we'll work around the bottom first, I think. So around here, can you see that's the base? We're going to pull through right there, just like that. Then we're going to come up and come down, just in a few of these places, just to really get it in place here. Then we'll come over here, go through the head, and come up. There we go, nice and pull. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go across to this space here, but then as I pull this pin up, I'm going into the hair or the head at this point, and I'm going to come up at the base again. So it's like always coming up through the base section. So there's my base section right there. I'll give this a little bit of a pull. I'm going to take this needle out, or that pin out, sorry, and I'm going to come up this section, go back into the head or the hair as deep as you can go, and then I can pull this out, just make it a little bit easier for myself to come up at the base, and there's another section there. Then I'm going to work in, pull it, but don't pull it super tight because you don't want to create those indentations is all you just have to be wary of. So you can see like I'm going through every 2, 3, 4 stitch spaces is where my yarn needle is going, just to make that really secure, or as secure as I can. If we really wanted to, we could go through every single stitch, but I don't think that's necessary. We'll just go through a couple, and that should be more than fine. So maybe just a few more little spaces that we can find. Since we have some more yarn tail, may as well pull this out so it's looking good. And then we're almost done. You can see there's, maybe we can come up here just maybe 1 or 2 more times just to really secure it in place. Let's come up here. Here's 1. The more that you do this, the more secure obviously it's going to be, but this is really up to you how much you want to sew around. And I think that will be enough. So I'm going to come out the top here, just like that. Then we will, in the same way, just sew around. So we're kind of just keeping it in place and securing that yarn. Don't pull that though. And then do that maybe like 3 or 4 times. The same way we did when we closed up the head. We're just following the way, the seams. And come down here, and this will probably be our last one to fully secure it. Come over here, pull and cut the excess yarn. Now if you did want to add a keychain, feel free to do that, no problem at all. You'd probably add it somewhere at the top here or the center of the hat. Get your little chain, put it here, put it up, and it will be perfect. But there we go, guys. We have just finished Baby Saja in 2 different color variations, but almost keeping consistent. And then we have the hats there at the back. And there we go. Beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'm excited to see what you guys do. Tag me, don't forget, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.